Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 4 of season 1 of Star Wars Rebels called Breaking Ranks. And this is another Ezra-centric episode, but it's also a plot episode. You can kind of tell this is one where they're setting up some stuff that's going to be pretty important in the future. Now, just to kind of get into a few little details. First of all, I was really pleased with the actor that they got to play Jai. He's the red-haired fellow, and I'm listening to it. And I'm listening to his voice during the episode. I'm like, oh man, where do I know this guy from? And then I watched, see the credits, and I'm like, oh, it's Dante Bosco, of course. And Dante Bosco, of course, is best known as the voice of Prince Zuko on Avatar: The Last Airbender, also the voice of General Iroh on Legend of Korra. So it's always nice to have him pop up on doing some voice acting work somewhere, because he is a very talented guy. Also, we got to see that we heard them mention kyber crystals, something that of course does come from the Star Wars lore that's previously been established. In fact, I remember that they had some stuff with those on Clone Wars. Now, what's really interesting to me is what's going on here at the Academy, and that's basically sort of screening potential recruits for Force sensitivity. I mean, you can tell that's what they're doing. And this is very reminiscent of part of Atton Rand's storyline from the second Knights of the Old Republic game. In fact, heretic that I am, I actually like Knights of the Old Republic 2 better than Knights of the Old Republic 1. So, this kind of fits into some other stuff from the original EU lore, which once again has been reclassified as Legends and is not necessarily in continuity anymore. But one of those things were that in the Empire, they did try and look for people who were Force sensitive and recruit them into Imperial service. And one of actually Darth Vader's major duties was, in fact, training these Force sensitive people. Now, just because Darth Vader was a Sith did not necessarily make these people that he trained Sith. There's a lot more to becoming a Sith. There's tradition and all of that, the rule of two and whatnot. Again, I think they've actually specifically said they've done away with the rule of two in the upcoming Star Wars movies. But again, we're going with the traditional Star Wars lore here. And basically, you could be trained by a Sith in ways to use the Force, but that did not necessarily automatically make you a Sith. Remember, this is the Sith Order that we're talking about here. It's an organization. So just because you sort of received some training from these guys did not automatically make you a member. You had to be, in the old days, prove that you had some serious chops in order to officially be able to call yourself a Sith. And a lot of these agents were used as inquisitors, like we've seen here, or just assassins and things like that. So basically, you think of them as Force-sensitive agents of the Empire, but not genuine, full-fledged members of the Sith Order. In the previous EU at this time, the only two members of that really would have been Palpatine and Darth Vader. And yes, I know the Lost Tribe of the Sith were out there during all this time. Okay, nitpick. Alright? So, this episode also introduces us to the character of Zaire, and that's the fellow whose sister went missing, and who decides to stay in the Academy to sort of search for her some more. Thus kind of setting him up as somebody who could potentially come back later on to help out the heroes, which, okay, all well and good there. Oh, before I go on, did you notice that there's a brief cameo by the Imperial Paper Pusher from the first episodes? You see her walk through the base there at the Academy very briefly, and I never really realized just how much she was dressed like the dark magic girl from Yu-Gi-Oh! Until that moment. But anyway, getting back to this episode as a whole. So once we've established the whole, this is what they're doing, we do have that really cool little escape moment that I thought was handled really well. I mean, there was some very nice action in this episode. The whole escape from the hangar thing, and watching Sabine and Zeb take out those guards. I mean, remember, we also get to see a teenage girl literally shoot a guy in the head with a blaster. as much as I love this show, there really are moments that I'm like, you do realize this is a show that's basically meant for kids, right? Then again, they got away with some pretty crazy stuff on Clone Wars, so I suppose I shouldn't be that surprised. But again, this is shooting people in the head and unquestionably killing them. So yeah, nothing particular to say about what was going on with Kanan and Hera. Just more of just getting to see them in action and us being reminded that yeah, these guys really do know what it is that they're doing. Um, there's also, of course, the question of hey, just what is the Inquisitor up to? But we don't really get very much information about what's going on there. Just sort of the hint that maybe that fella's sister might have fallen into the Inquisitor's hands. Now, if she was just was she discovered sort of working as an agent for people who wanted to fight against the Empire? Was she somebody who just also was force sensitive? We don't know, but I think those are also ideas well worth keeping in mind. And this was also another episode that was really meant to show that that Ezra has indeed bonded with the rest of the gang, and that he's learned enough and is resourceful enough to go out and handle these sort of things on his own. And while you might be saying, well, isn't this a lot to put on the shoulders of a 14-year-old kid? Well, yeah, but keep in mind, Ezra is now also a Padawan. And being a Padawan means you get those extra responsibilities. I mean, if you were a Padawan in the Clone Wars, you were officially bestowed a rank of commander. Now, keep in mind, Ahsoka Tano was a commander in the military at the age of 14. Now, granted, she'd been raised in the Jedi Order. She had literally been trained since she was a baby to do stuff like this. So she's definitely a little bit more deserving, if you will, of that sort of thing than Ezra is. But, Ezra's also been working to survive for a long, long time and has proven pretty adept at it. So, as we see in this episode, he's got the chops for it. So, I guess he deserves it. And with that, folks, I think I'm going to call it here. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Who's Your Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.